start talking about accreditation, it's important we understand exactly what it means. To help us clarify that, we are joined by Sherry Sampson, Executive Director of Assessment, correct? With the Riverview Gardens School District. Riverview Gardens not only lost its state accreditation, it also has been taken over by the state. So let's get this out of the way right away. How does that feel to you when I reference Riverview Gardens state-controlled school district?
Well, we are working very hard to make it a provisionally accredited district and then a full accredited district. How does it feel? I think that I was hired and the staff was hired to turn the school around, and that's what we're doing. So we feel good about it.
I ask that as the son of a teacher, and I know there's a lot of passion in what you do. And help us understand this accreditation process. This is the state trying to measure our schools across the state. How do you, when you're at the grocery store, explain to people what it is that you do and what it is the state is doing when we're talking about accreditation?
Okay, as with the MSIP-4, which was what has been used in the past, there's 14 points.
MSIP for Missouri State School Improvement Program. That's something we're going to hear a lot about.
Yes.
And it's something that's we're in number 4. We're going to get the number 5 here soon. We'll get to that in a moment. But so when people hear MSEP, this is the process by which, so go ahead.
There's 14 points that is possible to have. If you have 9 points, then you're fully accredited. If you have 6, then you're provisionally accredited, and less than 6, you're unaccredited. With that, what happens, there's a chain of data that they look at. So it's
the state is looking. They're measuring by 14 different categories each school.
Correct. And it rates from attendance to graduation to the advanced courses to the actual state test, the grade level assessment, the end of course assessment. We're looking at all of these points. What happens with MSIP-4 is it's 5 years of data. So they look at a rolling average. So 5 years of data, and that creates a status. So based on your status, you have to have so many percentage points to be able to get the MSIP point.
Something I hear, I bring this up because when I talk to teachers, I hear over that 5-year period, those aren't necessarily 5 years or 4 years of the same students. What is the feeling of educators towards this program?
Well, the 5 years is actually very frustrating because, especially for us in Riverview Gardens, because when the state lapsed us, we became a whole new district. So everyone had to be fired, rehired, had to apply for their jobs. Everything had to start over.
These are all requirements to get federal money.
For the lapse, yes. These are all the requirements for the lapse. So all of our policies, procedures, and everything was gone. We started over, except for our data. And so we're a new district, but with the same data.
A new pitcher came in with a lot of runs already on the board.
Correct. So that was a very frustrating thing in the beginning because we're fighting against data that most of the people that are in the district now had nothing to do with. And so that is a little bit frustrating. Because of the 5-year rolling average, some of the points that there were some points that were statistically impossible for us to get. Once you become unaccredited with the MSIP-4, the easiest way I could explain it, it's almost like going into credit card debt. Once you're in deep with credit card debt, it's almost impossible to get yourself out. And the example I use often is for our attendance. If last year, because of this rolling average and the way that the state had the formula, even if we had 100% attendance last year, that means every single kid came to school every single day, we still would not have made that point. Our attendance rate was actually higher than some of our surrounding school districts, but because of our past data, we did not get the point, which they did. So it's a bit frustrating.
Just help us with a couple of other terms that I think we're going to hear tonight. One of the areas by which the schools are judged is something called a subgroup. Help us understand subgroup and how that plays into our schools. Okay.
Again, with MSIP-4, the subgroups, that could be our students who are English language learners, so English as a second language, our free and reduced, our Asian.
Free and reduced lunches.
Free and reduced lunch. Our Asians, our African American students, our IEP students, which are our special education students. All these make up subgroups. You have to have 30 of that one particular group to make up a subgroup. So some of our students, if they are African American, free and reduced lunch, and if they're a special education student, they're counted 3 different times, as well as over the total. So
the goal being that no one is left behind.
No one left behind. So ultimately, when you're saying no one left behind with No Child Left Behind, that's the act that was put in. That was the idea behind that was in 2014. Every single student, everywhere is going to be proficient or advanced by 2014.
And real quickly, MSIP 5 is changing that.
That has changed.
And tell me how that is changing in layman's terms.
Okay.
Make it so I can understand it.
In layman's terms, basically, MSIP 5, it gives, MSIP 4, it was this one standard that we all needed to meet. With MSIP 5, the goal is that every single student, every single school, every single district gets better every year. So we're not being matched up against this number. It's real life, and what we can do is help every single student move forward.
Sure.